Ayla sat in her dimly lit room, the weight of the world resting heavily on her shoulders. Gazed at the wall, adorned with photographs that once encapsulated joyful moments from her life with Derek. In those early days, he had been charming, sweeping her off her feet with his easy laughter and warm smile. He had felt invincible, wrapped in a whirlwind romance that promised forever. Time wore on. She began to see another side of him, one that grew increasingly controlling and possessive. Her thoughts drifted back to their last conversation, before everything changed. Eric had insisted on knowing every detail of her day, while dismissing her own concerns about his mood swings. Ayla often felt as if she were living in a glass bubble, fragile and easily shattered by his temper or disapproval. Yet, it was not until recently that things took an even darker turn. Eric had started posting online about a supposed serious illness, painting himself as a victim deserving of sympathy and support. Ayla's heart sank as she scrolled through social media, seeing friends rallying around him with heartfelt messages and offers to help. Hurt deeply, she knew this was a ruse crafted meticulously by Derek to manipulate their circle. Days passed, whispers turned into shouts of support for him, while Lila found herself gradually sidelined. Friends who once shared laughter over coffee now offered their condolences instead. They spoke of Derek's struggle and how brave he was for fighting against his illness. With every supportive comment directed at him, Lila felt more isolated, a ghost haunting the very life she once lived surrounded by love. Aya tried to console her, but even she couldn't fully grasp the depth of betrayal weighing on Lila's heart. Friends who seemed loyal fell under Derek's spell, believing every word he uttered without question. Lila's soul, there was no escaping this twisted web of deceit woven around her. On one particularly painful evening, across from Meyer at their favorite cafe, now filled with echoes of laughter from other tables, Lila struggled to contain her frustration when sharing how friends were acting differently toward her, since Derek's posts began surfacing. Aya leaned in closer, concern etching lines across her brow as she whispered about how unsettling it was to see so many people flocking towards Derek while abandoning Layla during such a trying time. Together they scoured social media feeds, filled with sympathetic messages dedicated solely to someone who didn't deserve them. Aspiration turned into anger inside Lila like wildfire threatening everything in its path. She could no longer bear witness to this sham without speaking up, without fighting back against lies that threatened to consume all remnants of joy. Left within reach, the isolation wrapped around her tighter than ever before, until an unexpected encounter shed light upon dark shadows lurking behind Derek's facade. Chance meeting revealed another friend who had suffered under similar circumstances, involving deception, orchestrated by none other than him in past relationships, a revelation igniting doubt amongst shared circles about his current predicament. Found determination coursing through every vein within her being. Avowed silently, and for truth, the truth that would cut through darkness clouding reality to be exposed once and for all. Meyer arrived at Lila's apartment one evening. Concern etched on her face. The atmosphere felt heavy, thick with the weight of unspoken words. Lila sat on the edge of her couch, staring blankly at a television that remained off. A flickering light from the street lamp outside cast shadows around the room, mirroring the darkness in Lila's heart. They exchanged small talk. Maya sensed something deeper troubling her friend. After a moment of hesitation, she broached the subject that had been gnawing at her mind. He expressed how unsettling it was to see Derek receiving so much attention, while Lila seemed invisible to their friends and family. Every day brought new posts celebrating Derek's strength in facing his illness, each like, and comment digging deeper into Lila's wounds. Ayla's stomach churned as Maya spoke. She had been feeling increasingly isolated and betrayed by those who rallied around Derek without question. The words poured out of Maya's mouth. Each sentence echoed Lila's own thoughts but seemed sharper in their clarity. Then came the final straw. A chance encounter, just days prior, had ignited a fire within Lila. In a local cafe alone to escape her thoughts, she overheard two acquaintances discussing Derek's supposed illness and sharing their admiration for his bravery. Mentioned how Derek had tricked another girl in their circle with similar antics not long ago. This revelation sent shivers down Lila's spine. The anger bubbled up within her like molten lava waiting to erupt, as she listened intently to every word spoken about him being such a victim of fate. That was it, she could no longer remain silent, or let this continue unchecked. Aya noticed the change in Lila's demeanor, as determination replaced despair in her eyes. Clear to both that silence would only allow Derek's manipulation to thrive further. Fueled by a sense of justice mixed with fury over betrayal, Lila realized it was time to take action against Derek's deceit once and for all. Nude vigor surging through her veins, plans began forming in her mind a way to expose him publicly, so everyone could see him for who he truly was. But hiding behind lies and false sympathy from those who cared little about reality. He turned towards Maya with fierce resolve shining through every word spoken next. They would gather evidence together, the truth would come out into the open where it belonged, and no longer could anyone dismiss what they knew in their hearts. That Derek was playing them all like puppets strung along by his facade of suffering. Aya nodded enthusiastically, ready to assist her best friend on this quest for justice. Together, they would expose the facade once and for all before it consumed even more lives than already affected by Derek's manipulations. They brainstormed ideas late into the night under dim lights, illuminating hope flickering like candles surrounding them amidst darkness. Every plan laid down felt solidified by sisterhood standing united against deceitful tactics, designed solely for control and pity rather than genuine care or compassion rooted deep within friendship bonds. Driven by passion ignited from injustices, suffered too long already endured silently without reprieve, Lila finally saw herself breaking free from chains binding her spirit downwards toward despair, rather than rising above adversity fueled. Now instead toward reclaiming power stripped away piece by piece previously acknowledged only internally, until now transforming anger into decisive action, sure enough set forth upon resolution nearing fruition ahead, destined soon toward. Ultimate unveiling truth laid bare across community, gathered round seeking answers long overdue needing exposed light shed brightly onto shadows lurking beneath surface, unsuspected hiding quietly still lurking among familiar faces known. Warmly embraced believed trustworthy, until proven otherwise none remaining untouched ultimately facing consequences, born due reckoning finally arriving soon enough assuredly bringing rightful closure necessary demanded justice served. Upon deceiver alongside hurt done unmasked revealed fully publicly dismantling mask, worn far too long concealed obscured hidden away behind charade driven solely personal gain feigning ill health sympathies woven skillfully spun. Deceptive tales told indulgently captivating audience members, ensnared, captivated, hooked, line drawn, firmly caught unaware. Unaware, ultimately bamboozled, caught red-handed, broken trust, painfully shattered, exposed, raw wounds reopen. Desperately seeking healing, however, slow needed journey onward towards brighter tomorrows ahead, promised always existing beyond immediate pain, blossoming anew, blossoming fresh again, restored, reclaimed essence, lost, temporarily lost. He discovered a new certainty surrounds rebirth moments, linger fond memories, cherished anew binding loyalties, strengthened journeys, continued unbroken. Never forgotten pathways crossed forever entwined throughout myriad experiences, shared, lived. Oldly tested, resilient, forged through trials, faced, emerging stronger, healthier, wiser, infinitely better equipped to address whatever future holds awaiting patiently beckoning forward. Lila sat with Meyer at her kitchen table. A flickering candlelight casting long shadows on the walls. The air was thick with tension as they meticulously plotted Derek's downfall. Ayla felt a surge of power coursing through her. She had been a victim for too long, and now it was time to turn the tables. They began by creating a fake social media account, carefully crafting a persona of a concerned friend who wanted nothing more than to support Derek while being wary of his claims. This account would allow them to gather information without raising suspicion. Ayla and Maya spent hours scrolling through their mutual friends' posts, collecting screenshots that could serve as evidence against Derek's elaborate lies. As days passed, they accumulated an extensive collection of screenshots. Derek's posts detailing his supposed illness were accompanied by snapshots of him living life fully. Laughing at parties, dining out with friends, and engaging in activities he claimed he couldn't do due to his condition. Each contrasting image fueled Layla's determination. Each laugh captured on camera cutting deeper into the illusion he had built around himself. Every piece of evidence gathered, Lila's resolve strengthened. Together, they devised a plan for the community fundraiser organized for Derek's supposed medical costs, and filled with well-meaning friends and family who truly believed they were helping someone in need. But Lila saw it differently. This would be her stage, a moment where she could unveil the truth before all those who had turned their backs on her. A day of the fundraiser arrived like any other, but felt charged with purpose. A venue buzzed with excitement as people mingled and shared stories about Derek's bravery. Ayla dressed carefully for the occasion, choosing an outfit that made her feel empowered, yet understated, a stark contrast to the vibrant atmosphere around her. Time for speeches. Lila stood off to the side with Maya by her side, both brimming with anticipation and nerves alike. Derek took center stage to express gratitude for everyone's support, his voice dripping with false humility. Lila felt something shift within her. She knew this was it. Gathering all her courage, she stepped forward from behind the crowd, drawing curious glances in her direction. Her heart raced as she held up her phone, displaying undeniable proof. The photos they had collected over weeks danced across its screen like ghosts, exposing hidden truths. He spoke calmly, but firmly about what she had discovered: the elaborate ruse, designed not just to gain sympathy, but also control over their lives and friendships. Asps rippled through the audience as whispers began circulating amongst them, like wildfire igniting dry brush. Eric's face paled as realization struck him like lightning. There was nowhere left for him to hide from his deception anymore. Eyes that once looked upon him with compassion now reflected confusion, mixed with betrayal, as friends turned away from him one by one. That moment of revelation, a collective awakening, Lila witnessed how quickly loyalty shifted when faced with undeniable evidence against manipulation cloaked in virtue. Became clear, sympathy shattered under scrutiny when love met betrayal head-on. Murmurs grew louder within the rooms surrounding them, the community grappling with this newfound knowledge. It became evident that Derek's web of deceit could no longer ensnare anyone else. His credibility crumbled beneath layers upon layers of lies laid bare before all who had dared trust him blindly. \n, and amidst those hushed conversations sparked by disbelief echoing throughout every corner of their gathering space, Ayla felt an exhilarating sense of liberation wash over her, a sweet taste of revenge served cold, yet satisfying against everything darkness once held sway over. And this was not merely about avenging herself. This was about reclaiming strength lost amid deceitful shadows cast wide across relationships that mattered most. \n, as people confronted Derek, some angrily demanding explanations while others simply turned away in disgust. Lila stood tall among them alongside Maya, whose unwavering support bolstered every step toward freedom taken. \n, no longer overshadowed or silenced by manipulation orchestrated so skillfully, it dawned upon her like dawn breaking after endless night that truth always has its way of surfacing despite attempts made otherwise. \n for Lila wasn't just unveiling Derek's lies. She found herself stepping into sunlight after years hidden beneath clouds following storms wrought from betrayal so profound, it threatened all joy once known. \n, as whispers continued swirling around them, Derek becoming increasingly isolated amidst former supporters, all strands binding friendships together fractured under weighty revelations, shared freely now unmasked forevermore. \n, in witnessing everything unfold surrounded by people finally awakening from slumber induced by deceitful charm, wielded cruelly against vulnerable hearts, all facets converged into clarity, allowing light back inside rather than keeping shadows entrenched deep where safety lay falsely promised. \n revenge wasn't just victory over one man. It symbolized triumph over doubts laden heavy inside, leaving scars too painful carrying alone, while seeking justice meant standing strong together towards brighter tomorrows awaiting ahead. Unfettered, Ayla sat in the aftermath of her confrontation with Derek, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. The crowd dispersed, she felt both exhilarated and drained. A realization that she had finally spoken out, revealing the truth to everyone who had once rallied behind him, filled her heart with a sense of liberation. A tension that had gripped her for so long began to unravel like thread from an old tapestry. In the days following the revelation, whispers spread through their community like wildfire. Friends began to distance themselves from Derek, some expressing disbelief at his manipulation, while others confronted him directly. Ayla watched as people who had once embraced Derek now pulled away with uncertainty etched on their faces. Conversations were hushed when he entered a room. Laughter faded into awkward silence as they processed what they had learned. With each passing day, it became increasingly clear that Derek's credibility was crumbling before their eyes. His posts about his illness grew less frequent as he faced backlash from those he had deceived for so long. Surrounded by support and sympathy, he found himself isolated, a puppet master whose strings had been severed by his own deceit. Meanwhile, Lila gradually reclaimed her life piece by piece. Aya stood steadfastly beside her throughout this journey, helping Lila reconnect with friends who had distanced themselves during Derek's charade. Slowly but surely, relationships began to mend as laughter returned to their conversations, laughter that was genuine and free from manipulation. As Lila sat in her favorite cafe one afternoon with Maya and James by her side, she couldn't help but feel the warmth of friendship enveloping her like a comforting blanket. They shared stories over steaming cups of coffee and pastries fresh from the oven. Each moment felt more precious than ever before. In these newfound connections, Leela reflected on how much strength she had summoned to confront Derek's lies head-on. The emotional toll weighed heavily at times, but was nothing compared to living under his shadow for so long, a shadow that no longer loomed over her every thought. Leela's mind wandered back to the first time she'd met Derek, the charm that captivated everyone around him, and how quickly things changed when reality set in. And now there was clarity amidst chaos, a promise of healing blooming brightly within herself, as trust slowly rebuilt around those loyal friends, returning into focus once more. In quiet moments alone at home later that week, Leela penned thoughts into a journal, an outlet for processing emotions buried beneath layers of hurt since discovering the truth about Derek's deception. He wrote about reclaiming not only friendships lost, but also rediscovering who she truly was beyond being defined solely through someone else's narrative. Days turned into weeks and seasons shifted ever so slightly outside apartment windows, tinted with golden sunlight filtering through branches, bursting forth anew with life all around. Leela recognized something profound. Might have felt satisfying in its immediate aftermath. However, it was healing and personal growth, bringing lasting fulfillment forward onto paths, yet traveled eagerly awaiting exploration ahead. Leela allowed herself to embrace this new chapter, fully one where every laugh echoed brighter without fear tethering it down, or holding back joy, firmly waiting, patiently still yearning, reawakening soon enough, destined to shine, brightly illuminating corners darkened. Previously hidden shadows lurking behind facades known too well, before breaking apart, ultimately liberating souls bound tightly together, caught unaware, unceremoniously entangled, tangled webs spun far too intricately, leading lives astray. Award paths never meant tread upon, navigating carefully, stepping forward, nurtured newly blossoming faith, restored faith renewed, leading onward forevermore.